In this fourth edition of the podcast, I would like to welcome and introduce Owain, who's a practice principal, owns a very large practice over in Hutchy, Wales, and he brought his team along for a day regarding the transferable skills programme where we're talking about teams of all things and patients. Quite an eye-opening day for both him and his team, and this podcast is we're just sort of reflecting on the highlights of the day, because like I say, there is a connection what people don't see, but the more you get involved, the more obvious it becomes. So with that, here we go. From Newquay, the Welsh Newquay, not the one in Cornwall, who've known for God knows how many years. First came on the orthodontic course we used to, or still do run in Chepstow. Kept in touch ever since. Became quite handy keeping in touch, isn't it, when we hit COVID, because we got right royally rogered by the Welsh, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it's a fair summary there.
They were trying to say that, what was it? No one has private dentistry in Wales. They wanted to keep us closed. The NHS guys were still getting funded. And then there was the thing about oral cancer. Well, it's doctors who see it. And we're like, no, it's dentists who detect it. And they were having none of it. So we got the other Ian Hutch, who reached out to Ian Hutch Mark II.
Yep.
And he
was too late.
Yeah, he came as usual, full force, put them all to rights, and we got back up and running again. And actually, I just suddenly thought it was shortly after that time we had the Manchester. So today we're talking about sort of teams and dynamics and stuff. And that's when you first came across Paddy, when we did that
resilience training, it was, yeah.
Resilience, yeah, day up in Manchester. And that was like bloody ghost town, wasn't it?
It was something we'll probably never see ever again.
No. Yeah, because I remember the motorway was quite busy. But when I hit Manchester at 5 p.m. on a Thursday night, I was only bloke driving.
Yeah.
And the hotel, that was creepy. The Midlands Hotel, because we're the only guys in it, weren't we?
Yeah, it was very odd.
Yeah. So then since then, we've done bits and pieces, and you brought your team along to the team dynamics, for want of a better description, day, where we sort of discussed how to recruit your team, how to select your team, how to manage your team, how to motivate them. Yeah. And then we did a little breakout on how to read people, which was quite an eye-opener sort of thing. So how did the team think of the day? How did they respond?
They absolutely loved it. As evident by, they emailed you off their own back. They asked for your email address in, and emailed you off their own back to say how much they gained from it. It is eye-opening for people. I think something we're not really taught a lot about, definitely not in university, about what makes actually genuinely what a good team is. Not the crap that is all about, the awful stuff, the bare bones of it, the real stuff. Because it's only when Paddy was talking about it that you discover, actually, we do, in my practice, tend to hire not on paper skills. It's whether or not they're going to actually fit in to the team. And that is actually more important, because you can learn skills, but if you're a bit of an artist, you're not going to fit in.
Yeah, the dental skills will say, it's nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
But I would argue it is, because even if it's just with your nurse, that's a small team, let alone building into the bigger team. And then you get all the accountants and, you must own a practice. and no one teaches you business skills or
yeah.
And I just find it fascinating. There's those who've read books and run courses, but we never look at the military for inspiration. And, as it was said, you have a bad day in the office.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a bad day, we don't come home. Or if we do, we're missing an arm or a leg or something.
Yeah, no.
Because they've got lived experience. And one thing I found is they constantly refine. So when you guys go, because they just take as much time as they want or need, and you think, okay, it's time to go. And they're like, no, it's a debrief. And that circle of success. And it's like it's a mind opener because nothing happened until you've done a debrief. What went well? What could be better? How can we improve it? And it's in there. It just runs through them like a stick of rock. Debrief.
And the profiling side of stuff, well, we've used it literally already within the first week in terms of, as you know, we were interviewing the day before we came up to see you, and they ended up choosing the second highest scoring candidate just because she scored higher on the fitting in the team.
Yeah.
And that was weighted higher as a result of seeing Paddy on Saturday. Whereas probably before, we probably would have gone against our better judgment there and gone, well, scored better and was close-ish on the thing. We thought, actually, no, we do need to weigh the team element higher because you have to work with these people all the time. And in fact, we used it again today in that we're desperate for a hygienist.
Yeah.
And yet we had one apply and was getting more and more sort of unrealistic in her demands. And it just sort of set the tone. And we're like, actually, are we better off without this hassle?
Well, that's what it is, because it is like, we've got vacancy. They send in a CV. Oh, you're fit for purpose, shall we call it? You can tick the boxes. Come for an interview, and of course, everyone will pull the wool over people's eyes. So, like, oh yeah, you're great. You can have the job. Or even if you're really stuck, which has happened, certainly sort of in the Bristol area, there's such a shortage. You just take anything that with a pulse.
That's basically where we're close to, but we decided against it purely based on our chats on Saturday. The dog started.
No, it's fine. But it's like Paddy was saying, do your due diligence. Again, I had an interesting day yesterday, and it was a bit of a high pressure situation, and then they went for a glass of water. I thought, yep, busted, but yeah, sort of thing. And
something that I'll spot forevermore.
And it's you give you some questions to calibrate the responses, and then you can judge whether they're lying or not. It's just fascinating. And the thing that got me was guessing the degree.
To this day, the girls still believe that Paddy had done immense amounts of research, and I really don't think he did. I think he actually. I think he just read it.
What was that 2-3 minutes of discussion with her? Chatting.
Not even that. It was more like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And one word written on a board. So I suppose you better give context this, Ian, and you. So
yeah. It just reminds me, if you rewind to 2020, I don't know if you, but certainly John and a couple of other guys sort of busted my balls saying, you dobbed us in. I'm like, what? Because they had that little one-to-one chat. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, well, they knew the type of person we were, everything. I'm like, I didn't even tell them who was coming, the names. And that, well, how can they suss us out within minutes? And I'm like, well, that's the job.
Was scary how good Paddy was at guessing everything about everyone in such a short space of time, with so few words spoken, purely on body language. Because this was the opener of the course. Literally within a couple of minutes, Paddy had already figured out the bare bones of everybody in that room.
Yeah, and it's like, because it's like we went to a pub on another course sort of thing, and he sussed the waitress girl out within seconds again, and knew what to say to get this and do that sort of thing. But again, I suppose when you're deep cover,
exactly. So I think I've never been more self-conscious drinking water on a course in my life. So does he think I'm lying?
Yeah, but it's interesting when we did that. What do you think of Clinton and that guy from Derby? When you're watching the YouTube videos, right, without the sound,
yeah,
the body language is telling you this is, and it's just like, oh my God, but that's Bill Clinton. Surely he should know better, but all the traits were there.
They were. Yeah, no, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So God. So they feel a bit more empowered and confident and everything.
Genuinely, yes. And literally having a discussion on WhatsApp today about that hygienist. So like I said, on paper, excellent, very experienced, really good. I spoke to her on the phone. She was lovely on the phone, but liaising with managers, just a couple of little things coming out in terms of wanting special treatment, so to speak. And it was just kind of like, it was pushing the boundaries just a bit too much. And I thought, actually, is this a team player or not? And management today was probably not. And actually, we could just do without the hassle. There's enough going on.
Yeah.
There is.
And then that brings you on to say, well, what's the motivation? And it's like, well, okay, it's probably, it's always money, but the ego sort of comes into it, just flexing a bit of muscle sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a shame because we are desperate for a hygienist. But
well, that's the usual dentistry, isn't it? We're desperate. We'll just take what comes, or we think we can train people, shall we say, or shape them.
Yeah,
it's hard work, isn't it? Yeah, especially you've been in the business running a place for many years, sort of thing.
11 years now, coming up to 12, and it's literally learned it the hard way. Like you said, there's no commission. So
deep end, don't you? Sink or swim.
Made so many mistakes along the way, but it's fine. From constant learning.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, that goes back to a few years ago. The army put a video out advertising and promoting failure.
Yeah,
because they're saying if you don't fail, you ain't going to learn, because you never learn anything if everything goes to plan. So go out there and fail again. And
even, let's be honest, how often does something go 100% to plan anyway? If you're not a little bit sort of self-reflective. It's there's always learning points, always.
Yeah, some of the youngsters won't do anything because I think they're so ingrained with failure is bad from school, and they get a bloody medal for coming last in the sports day event, and like, no, you're a loser. Shut up, oh, you can't call me that. Oh, for fuck's sake, brutal banter's needed here, sort of thing. And I must admit, it did make me wonder where dentistry is going, because if you've got these people who are scared of failure or ingrained, and they're not going to try and advance, then you're just going to get scale and polishes and bloody composite bonding.
I think it's got to be positive. You have to. That's my take on it. Any time I've ever had things go seriously wrong, if you don't find the positive in it, it'll kill you. Basically, it beats you up.
Yeah, and again, having humor. Okay, people say it's sick humor, it's dark humor, but if you haven't got humor in the face of adversity, you might as well just forget it.
And you've seen firsthand that my team are not scared to just take the piss out of me constantly.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's brutal. Well, again, brutal banter keeps everyone keeps everyone in check, and it does the job, sort of thing. Yeah. So I mean, that was sort of the team one, and emotional intelligence is quite a good one as well. Certainly for practice owners, We did one up in Manchester, and it's tricky questions like, for example, patients asking for discounts. How do you manage that or deal with that? Or the associate's not grossing enough.
Mm.
And that's where that grey thing between healthcare and business comes in. But when you start getting a few ailments, you suddenly realize, the NHS is run on finance. We'll put you on this drug because it means we haven't got to do this, this, and this test. It saves us money. Yeah, but it's knocking my kidneys up. Oh, they're all right. Well, no, the tests prove it's getting. So it's I just don't know where it's all. Well, it's exciting times. It's all changing because I kept going on about AI.
Yeah.
Well, guess who was on the phone? Absolute raving about it. Oh my God, this is so good. We did a website in an hour.
Who's that?
Paddy.
No.
Yeah, because
I thought he'd hated AI, but I'm wrong.
They hate. I would say they don't hate technology, but you always have a fallback. So they say, when you go on operations, anything that's high tech usually fails, and it's usually like the comms. So you always get taught the basics, how to map read with a compass and everything. So you've got a fallback, because if it's high tech, it will fail. Actually, it was a bit like the power cut, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
There's me thinking, it's usually 30 seconds, an hour, but improvise and adapt. He just got on with it, didn't he?
Exactly.
So I was saying there's going to be this mass unemployment coming because you can do your own website, and it's like, but I don't know how to. I've got to learn this. I've got to learn that. It'll take me 2, 3, 4 weeks to write it.
You factor in upcoming recession, Ian, and I think it's a potent mix going to happen very soon. It was we were talking about this obviously Saturday, that both of us believed long ago that there was a recession coming at the end of the year, and it was on news this morning that is now forecast.
Right. Germany declared recession sort of thing.
Really? Yeah.
So I think that was on the news as well. So I say time's going to get hard. This AI is, the trains left the station. No, the bloody bullet trains left the station. Yeah. It's going so frigging quick. If you're not on it, you're never going to play catch up. So I was sort of going deep into that sort of thing because, it's choose your reaction. It's like, well, actually, it's a chance to be reborn, because I'm thinking just start again. So all the teaching, that's out the window, because write lectures, do all, but again, it's like, well, okay, you might be able to get ChatGPT to write you a research paper and the references aren't right. So that's one way of spotting when someone's used AI. And I know there's plagiarism software. I can't remember began with a T, but there's another AI where you can cut and paste from chat into this new one to put your essence on it. So I'm thinking, you know what? It's going to go right the way back to sitting in front of a person and showing your knowledge. Because again, the difference between sort of education and knowledge, people are desperate for a diploma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a frigging badge, and all you do is learn what's on the test, and then you forget everything. So fine, off you go. I know I teach on a diploma.
And I've done your diploma.
Yeah, I know, but I just think, there's a whole back office sorting all the educal admin stuff out, which is a nightmare. And it's like, well, I could do it, but I'd rather spend my time refining what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So when something goes wrong and the patient's in the chair, you know instantly what to do. You're not going to do this Toyota lean thinking, just in time manufacturer, go on the laptop, ChatGPT, overjet's not reduced, in space is still present. What do I do? What do I check?
The thing I would see with you, though, Ian, is that your one-to-one time with learners, would be more valuable because you can't get that with AI in terms of the actual. Well, the brutal matter. There's that sort of stuff. ChatGPT is never going to give you that. It'll give you bare facts that you still have to sort of try and interpret. Whereas you've got the experience and also just you come at it from different angles to understand, I suppose, is a better thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Each understanding of the concepts rather than just a.
Yeah, this is the system. Do A, do B, do C.
It's not like that, is it? Let's be honest.
No, this biological variation, which sort of thing.
Yeah.
We had a few.
You can't work on a flow chart.
No, and that's the whole thing, because it's like, so one of the indemnity insurances is basically wants me to help with AI because you will have a co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
My inbox is going one a week, and it's like there's a breach of duty because I haven't done X, Y, and Z. Simple things. What I tend to drill into people, and like, no, I'm not listening to you if you're not speaking my language. Piss off, So now, what they said, within 3 years, you want a co-pilot, so you won't be allowed to treat a patient without an AI co-pilot prompt. So it'll record, then it'll convert it to text, and it'll prompt you what questions to ask next, what investigations to do. Big Brother is here.
Though having said that, for me, I don't think I would hate that, because my biggest problem, I've got a terrible memory and I hate writing notes.
Yeah. I mean, it is how you look at it. What I'm sort of thinking is, well, it will, how can I put it bluntly, dumb down, because you can have any Tom, Dick, or Harry conversing with the patient, collecting all the data.
Correct, yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes, but it's coming, and like I say, it's left the station, and we ain't turning it around now. So
could be where NHS dentistry goes. Several dental nurses with AI filtering it up.
I think, and even those little micro motors. You've got your rubber dam clamp with a little motor in, and you clamp it on the tooth. It'll position itself, sort of reference with the laptop. You'll design the cavity or the prep, and it'll just fill it. It's already, China's got robots. I mean, it's fascinating when you look at the medics, what they're doing, because I remember years ago, again, I had a bit of an argument with a partner, because one of my patients made 3D business cards. And I said, oh, fantastic. Okay. And then basically where we're going is like a TV with a camera. So it would take your picture and superimpose a new smile. So as you moved your image on the TV, which was like a looking through a looking glass mirror, and that never came to fruition. But one of the big companies that make composite in Derby way, Colteen, I think, came up and did it, sort of thing. So I was like kicking myself there. But the problem was with like robots was like pressure sensing. So when you get the dentine surge, it couldn't, or once you go through cortical bone and the cancellous bone. But now it's got pressure sensors. And the medics have been using sort of robots, remotely almost. Okay, you've got your gloves on and stuff. So it is like, I remember Ask Jeeves, Ask Jarvis, as in Iron Man. So we've gone from Jeeves, who was the original Google, well, it wasn't Google, but original internet search engine, Ask Jeeves. Then Jarvis comes along for Iron Man. And the next one's going to be like a proper all singing, all dancing robot.
I think you're right. It's an exciting time of change, but then people who are always pushing forward will always do well in times of change.
Yeah. And I think, again, going back to the lads, they call it debrief. but just having time out because you're so busy doing.
Yeah.
It's like you need, say, half a day of just nothing, just to strategize and think. Because if you keep doing the same thing, you were okay because things moved slowly and changed slowly. But with the pace of change so rapid now, I think that moment to sit and think and plan ahead is going to be critical.
But we're literally doing that tomorrow.
Right.
Just having a bit of a plan ahead as to, let's take a few different scenarios of what could happen. Because, like I said, I think it's fairly clear we are on the cliff of a recession coming, and there's a lot of people who are on the generation who can't really remember what it's like to be working in a recession, and to be and it's going to be different again, isn't it? Like I said, the times have moved on, so trying to figure out where on earth you have to position yourself and you have to line everything up ready to go so that you're not caught with your pants down, sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and then it's like, you plan and it never goes to plan, but at least you've got a rough idea and you can adapt as you go along.
Exactly that. You've got plan and then keep monitoring, plan and change and adapt. Much better than not having a plan and being surprised.
Oh yeah, just constantly refine, and it's like the NLP guys going about, well, if you're sailing a boat to America, you want to be constantly checking as opposed to letting it go for like days and then finding you in bloody Brazil, sort of thing.
We did a similar sort of thing back when it would have been the summer of 2020 when we were allowed to do dentistry again.
Yeah.
And I called a management meeting then, and we sat down and said, right, we want to be ahead of the curve here. So we basically did all our research, looked up where we thought it was going to go, when we thought dentistry was going to properly open up to everyone, when we thought NHS would start seeing patients again.
Yeah.
And how we would make the most of it. And it ended up with us literally doubling the practice size and turnover within 12 months.
Crikey.
And it was purely down to, right, how do we capture this moment of there's a massive demand, nobody's doing dentistry, what do we do? How do we get there? How do we not be caught napping? And it worked, albeit stressful and required a big expansion of team. But I think we're almost at that moment again where, for different reasons, things are going to change and we need to be prepared.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say it's that whole running a team again. So it's just come like full circle.
Yeah.
If you haven't got skills or knowledge of how to run a team, it's not for everyone. I'm a bit just like, Paddy just calls me the grey man. He says, you are, we would employ you as a spy. You just go off on your own. You're happy in your own little world. And you just notice things.
Yeah.
And you just see connections where people don't join the dots, sort of thing. So, I mean, but again, taking yourself out of yourself, thinking, yep, that's what's up with my practice. I don't run a team well. I'm not that sort of person. I'm best as a lone hired gun. So I'm a sniper type thing, best on my own sort of thing. So it's
you're the hand grenade that everyone avoids.
I don't know that it's a compliment or what.
In a positive way.
I've got to laugh. I'll put this picture up. There's something popped up about this T-shirt, vintage orthodontist, and it's a vintage orthodontist. Was it? Oh God, knows more than you think, and observes far more than what you imagine. Because you just look, and it's like some of the guys sort of on the mentoring sort of thing. I'm like, I'm like, shit, didn't see that. How did you see that? I'm like, well, I don't know. But I suppose I have an experience, but you just get used to the thing sort of thing. Practice, isn't it? It's So we'll have to. Well, we say we've got that meeting next year. for the independent Welsh dentist annual meeting. As usual, I've come up with a cunning idea. But again, whether we get any feedback from other people and throwing toys out the prams. But yeah, all to do with digital, I think.
Yeah.
Don't just make, people say, oh, digital so boring. Like, no. I'm not on about scanners. I'm on about the digital practice.
Yeah.
How everything is rapidly changing, how AI is going to be incorporated into your practice, whether you like it or not. It's going to affect your marketing, your advertising, your HR, patient management, or your record keeping. It's a lot. Yeah. So yeah, we'll discuss that next week. But I say it's just trying to get people to come up with ideas, because everyone wants an interesting meeting.
Yeah, that would go.
But if you don't stick your hands up, it's you can feel my frustration.
It's not like you in to be frustrated.
Frustrated. No, fuckers. Time for new medication, I think.
Oh dear.
So yeah, thanks for that, Owen. It was a great chat.
Amazing.
And say, if you've got any ideas for any more informal chats, because I say it's just something to pass time, because I find I'm up and down the motorway a lot now, and you don't want something heavy to listen to, but something to spark ideas and make you think of, like you said, where you're going, how you're going to implement all this stuff in your practice, both AI, transferable skills. Because that's when I first met Colin Paddy. I'm like, well, forget about the, counter surveillance, anti-surveillance, and all these self-defense and blah, blah, blah. How many bloody tools? Because literally, again, they sat me it was like something off the TV. I was sat on one side of the table, they're on the other side, and within minutes, I was like bubbling and bawling my eyes out, and they just fucking pressed the buttons, and they knew a complete assessment of me within 2 minutes. And it's just absolutely crazy. And like they said, what you see on the TV though is nothing like we do in the special forces. We never shout.
No.
Because if you don't want to be there and you don't want to do it, off you go. So if you don't want to be part of our team, I'm not going to shout and bawl at you and be over your back to make sure you've done this and done that. You're just out. And it's just having that courage to say, no.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So, right, I shall let you go.
Cheers.
Thank you for that, and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, see you soon, Ian. All the best.
So, thank you, Owen. Really appreciate your time. And like I say, if you want to know more about the transferable skill program, resilience, emotional intelligence, team, leadership, how can I put it, tactical screening or profiling of patients, give us a shout. And also, please, give me a shout with more ideas of what you'd like covering, because I don't know what you don't know and what you want to know. So any feedback would be gratefully received, and we're stronger together. So let's crack on and keep moving forward to infinity and beyond. Okay, cheers guys.